Echo 5, do you copy? Echo 5.
Echo 2, good morning. Nice of you to drop by.
Feeling alright, sir? Thought we lost you.
Right now, I feel like I can take on this whole podcast myself.
I know what you mean. Ready to send that transmission to Echo Base?
Yes, sir. R10, patch through.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Hoth Transmissions. Today we are going to be discussing the Acolyte Season 1, Episode 2. I don't know why I'm saying Season 1. It could be Season 1, but we're going to roll with it. So, a very interesting episode. And we learned a little bit more about May and not really sure what her motives are. We just know what she's doing. So, I'll open up to you guys. Let you guys go ahead and jump in with your thoughts.
I like this episode less than the first one.
Is it because there's a certain beefcake Jedi Knight that was, fully clothed in this one?
Yeah, I mean, of course. What else could it be?
I liked him better in this episode than the previous one.
Yeah, I have a lot of theories that are developing on the background, stemming from this episode. That's why I am also not sure how I'm feeling about it, because I don't know. I've seen those things being applied and being done in other Star Wars media. Let's say it like that. We'll come to that. That's why I'm a little...
Okay.
And I truly disliked the whole interaction with Torben and how that went down. So I
had a lot of issues with that too.
Yeah. That's why I liked this episode less than the first one.
I'm gonna try and be as positive with this episode. I really did in separating myself from all the inadequacies that this episode brought. I did enjoy the progression with it, but there was a lot of errors that I saw because I've seen this episode 3 times now, and each time I see something different. And it's not that I don't like this episode. It's just the way that it starts off. So May is up to no good again. Big surprise. She's obviously going after 4 different Jedi, and very confused on exactly where she stands. Because first of all, I gotta say, this is a Jedi temple she's breaking into. Really, some security system. Really? You guys are Jedi, and this is your security system? And it can be overturned by a child mimicking it and then throwing a little disabler on it? How's that gonna open the door?
I liked that part again because it shows the inadequacy of the Jedi. They've become complacent. I know I said it a lot in the last episode as well, but
they're just too confident, arrogant,
and that's why I'm liking this so far. Apart from the Torben thing, that was a bit ropey, but apart from that, everything else was good.
I don't know. I guess it comes with the whole thing with Jedi. They trust so much in the Force that a security system really isn't a big deal to them, I guess. So they probably just skimped on their budget and just let's get the Walmart version of security system. And the Force will take, if anybody breaks in, the Force will take care of us. And how easily she broke in without being seen by a temple full of Jedi, which, one, the Force should have alerted anything happening at the same time. But again, that could just be their arrogance of the Jedi. Plus, this isn't Coruscant, so this seems like they're the lesser Jedi. They're not probably think of it okay, the elite go to Coruscant, and then the ones that aren't that strong are stuck on somewhere else. That's kind of how I felt about these Jedi, and they.
What? Mhm. Sorry.
Oh, and then I was just gonna say, and then the whole thing with Torben, like the what is up with the whole thing of her sitting there doing the whole stance saying, "Fight me with everything you got." It's like they're Jedi. She knows they're not going to attack her. That's not the Jedi way.
When
May
I considering the security system, sorry, Sam, I'll just cut in for a second here. What I thought was it is not that big of a deal because I'm sure the Jedi Temple is also used of some kind of bunker or place to take refuge in. So if the little girl actually said like, "Oh, I need help. I need to go in and see blah blah," I think it would have worked too. That is at least my take on why the security system is relatively weak, because the judgment of the Jedi inside is more relied upon than the security droid. That's what I thought on that issue.
That's a fair point.
does the main Jedi Temple on Coruscant actually have a security system?
We see in Clone Wars they do.
Then they
Cad
were
Bane
very
breaks
much
in.
unprepared for Order 66.
Well, I mean,
Like-
Anakin and a bunch of clones coming up to the temple. They're like, "Oh yeah, friendlies. Okay, open the doors."
Yeah,
Especially in
they're
the books, that's
marching-
where Luminara and Dully first dies in the book. She dies 3 different times, depending on which version you're either reading, playing, or watching.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. No, I have to agree with Fluffy that the security system might be set up that if someone was to go up to there and say, "I need help," the Jedi are more likely to respond and act accordingly because they are peacekeepers. So I didn't have a problem with any part of that scene because it's like the Jedi are, for lack of a better phrase, unchallenged at this point. So why would they need a super strong security system? And they're Jedi; they can just wave their hand.
I mean, honestly, like if I were a Jedi, I'd probably feel the same way. It's like, okay, yeah, I've got the Force, I've got a lightsaber. Like, yeah, come at me, bro. Like, what are you gonna do?
That would make for a very interesting sort of Anakin Obi-Wan fight.
Basically.
Come at me, bro.
Well, that's kind of how I'd feel as a Jedi, though. So, I mean, I get I get your guys' views on that part. So that's I won't fight on that.
That sounded like a very Quinlan Voss line. Like, I'm surprised that he hasn't said it.
I probably would be a mix between Quinlan Voss and Anakin, to be honest. But I mean, Mako's in there, and I guess the security system that Torben had was this force field that he put around himself, and it's kind of cool to see like these different abilities that you get to see from the High Republic that you don't really get to see with the Jedi from the prequel era or the Empire era, or it just shows that like a lot of abilities were lost because of that complacency. Like you said, the Jedi are unchallenged at this point, so there's a lot of things that they don't need to do or learn to defend themselves. And so I would love to go further back into the Jedi Order to see what other things that they were able to do maybe 100, 200 years ago, maybe when the Sith, maybe 1,000 years ago when the Sith were around. I would love to see the different things that they knew then, and then within the 1,000 years up to this point, they just didn't need and they just slowly forgot. I think it's like one of those things like when you watch like a lot of like movies and you have like wizards and stuff, they're like, oh yeah, ancient magic, we don't use it anymore. It's all forgotten. It got lost in the ages, especially like Lord of the Rings, lost in the ages. And I feel like the Jedi are kind of that way as well. So cool being able to see this force field. He's just sitting there floating, meditating, apparently for 11 years. I don't know how he's surviving without food. Maybe it's like some kind of Jedi meditation that doesn't take a lot of energy. But I feel like something that powerful that he's doing would drain him a lot.
See, I took that as he's not spoken to anybody for 11 years, or however long it was. Because
Oh yeah, that's true. They did use the word spoken, so he probably did move around.
yeah, he's just probably just sort of meditating when May gets to him. I mean, that the whole weird fight stance thing made no sense to me. But then at the same time, that might just be how May wants to challenge people. And I mean, you know, we're 2 episodes in now. It's hard to tell, or we haven't got the answers as to why she's doing what she's doing. But I think we're probably going to get answers as of the next episode, which hasn't come out yet at time of recording.
Yeah. I really had a problem with the casting for Master Torben. They should not have chosen an actor who was in the beginning of his 20s and then age him with makeup. Like, there will probably be flashbacks. We saw Indara's flashback already, so why didn't they just cast someone else and made him play his younger self? It was just, in my opinion, ridiculous, and the actor looked really, really bad. I mean, not that he did a lot of acting.
Looked very scraggly.
Really bad.
See, I thought it was just sort of a generic Star Wars alien. That's like it's a humanoid, but you know, is an alien. We've had it before. There were, you know, in Phantom Menace we had council members that looked humanoid but had slight differences, and you know that carried through to the Clone Wars. So I just thought it was. I mean, obviously, I didn't know who the actor was until you guys had said either.
Yeah.
But you know, for me, it was.
I didn't know either.
It was a guy in prosthetics, you know, in makeup. That age-wise, it didn't bother me. Like, you know.
Yeah,
I was gonna say the age thing didn't bother me either. That actually never came across my thought.
Yeah, for me, the problem is that they made him look older than he is with the prosthetics. They didn't have to go through any of this. And with the prosthetics, it looks horrible. It looks so bad.
I just think he looked really unkempt for being a Jedi Master.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I took it as well. Was that, you know, he's in the middle of like a backwater planet for, you know, let's just say that it's not exactly Coruscant at this point, and you know, we don't know really what species he is either. He could just be a humanoid-looking alien that hasn't aged well.
I hope so.
Or he could just be a human that visited Tatooine and got some like prosthetic eye.
It's no. Nope. Sorry. It really.
You know,
bothers me.
from Book of Boba, the what was it?
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
That's all I'm thinking is just some like prosthetic, because he looked human except for his eye.
I mean, he
And it was just one eye,
stuff.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I mean, we talked about this in the last episode. We said like the list of people May is going through is very Kill Bill-esque, and I thought the same thing with Torben's death, because in the second volume of Kill Bill, this what's his name, Michael something's character also says like that woman deserves her revenge, and Torben is more or less in the same opinion and then just drinks the poison. I
I
found
didn't
it.
like that.
I found it a bit anticlimactic because when you see a Jedi Master who has been meditating for 11 years on and off, I don't know, whatever, is going through something spiritual, you would expect them to be much more connected with the Force and have, if the reason why they are meditating is because of all of this guilt, whatever happened, you would expect more from that interaction. So I
This
found it very anticlimactic.
So yeah, I found it also very anticlimactic because she saw him the night before or days before, and she comes back with poison, and she just starts talking to him about his guilt or whatnot, about redemption, confess your crimes to the Jedi Order, or take this poison. And then he opens his eyes and he's like, "Oh, I've been waiting for you, May." It's like, well, why did you open your eyes the moment she challenged you the last time she came? It's like, why wait till the second time? It's like, if you're waiting for her, you would have probably been ready for the first time. It's like, why wait till now? And what crimes did he do that are so bad that he chose death over confessing to the Jedi?
And that's where I have my theory about Osha and May and why they had to be separated. Or one of them had to die, in quotation marks.
But here's the thing, because we jump over to Osha. We jump back to her, and she's talking to Master Soul. First of all, she's a potential Jedi killer, but they're letting her just free roam, sleep in a bed, right next to a Padawan that's sitting here trying to fix a machine. It's like, if she's a Jedi killer, perfect opportunity to kill a Padawan right there. Two, when she's talking to Soul, let me see, where did I put that note? It's like, because I was very curious, because Osha is talking about that she needs to be there and confront her because she threatened her of killing her family. I don't know if you guys caught that. It sounded like Osha was accusing May of killing their family. And so
Because she thinks that May started the fire, because that's what the Jedi told her. That's what Soul at least told her. That her entire family and May herself died in the fire that May started.
gotcha, that's right. So either the Jedi are lying to Osha, or May actually did start the fire, and she was evil from the beginning.
Sorry.
Or she's evil from the beginning. So maybe that's why I'm excited to see the next few episodes, because that, for me, that was kind of a bit of a story killer for me, because Osha believes something and then May's going off killing Jedi, and so there's got to be a tie into all of that. Maybe the Jedi were involved in the fire and they just blamed it on May.
That's where my theory also goes a little bit.
And the Jedi didn't do it on purpose, because Torben felt very guilty, but I forget what he said to her before he took it. I don't know if you guys remember what it's killing me. I should have wrote it down, but he showed some guilt towards it, and basically saying we didn't know what we were doing, or something along that line. And then he took the poison and
I
offed
think
himself.
that's why I think they were told to do this. They didn't know exactly, but I think the council gave them this mission to do this. And personally, they didn't know what exactly, but they were also aware. That's what the guilty conscience is about.
And then I'm going along that Dooku was right about the council, because they are going to go investigate this. This is where I kind of like confused about the council, because the council is like, okay, yeah, take Osha use her as bait to draw up May. And then at the end of the episode, Soul confronts Vanessa and said, "Hey, guess what? There's me and the Wookiee Jedi are going to be basically our lives are in danger, and so we're going to go to Kashyyyk to help protect this dude." And she's like, "Nope, come back to Coruscant. This needs to be. We need to strategize and do all this stuff." It's like, it's basically what Dooku was saying. It's like Dooku was like, "Nope, the Jedi are just going to sit there and have a council about it. Could take months. No quick action. Let's go save the Wookiee Jedi before it's too late."
I think it's also a little bit about damage control, because if they are still so hot on May's tail, there is a chance that they learn the truth before the council has the chance to damage control and see how much they already know and what they do not know. I think that's a manipulative move on their part.
So do you think Vanessa is involved in a dark way?
100%.
Yeah, she gives me those vibes.
Has apparently her lightsaber like turns into a whip as well.
That I didn't know. So because we do see a red lightsaber whip, so
Yeah, and it's purple, and her vibes are completely off. So I don't know. These are just my initial feelings towards this character. Like, it's so very rare that I get very like with a character from the get-go. And that's the feeling with her from the first scene that she's in.
And also for a character that's not part of the main cast, she's very involved. So why would they involve a council member so much with Soul and them talking so much if she wasn't going to play a different role, or she had a more significant role later?
You know, she has this body language where she is standing tall, but her head is always bowed in a way that it's like it's very off to me that she is. I don't know. It's like you meet these people in real life as well, that they try to make themselves look smaller, less significant than they are, but not. That was like her entire body language is off to me. But we'll see. Maybe I did not like something else about her and I'm just finding something. But the way she carries herself, like her posture and the way she holds her head and everything, something is off there.
It comes across to me as sort of very proud by the tall, but the bowing head thing kind of, to me at least, symbolizes that she's trying to be more common, like one of the people, and that's the only way to do it, instead of just being normal. It comes across as very much like, ha 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 ha, I'm better than you, I know I'm better than you, but I'm gonna pretend.
Exactly, like it's calculating. There is off. Like she is trying to get herself across in a certain way, but it
be something that's completely different. She's not as subtle as Palpatine. Come on, that's why Palpatine's the greatest Sith. She just can't be there. She's giving it away. If we can tell this early, and I'm gonna laugh if we're wrong, because we're so confident right now.
I'm hoping that it's just that she's trying to pretend like she's, less than what she actually is. I don't think that she's going to be this big, the big Sith reveal.
I don't think so.
Like having someone on the council and stuff that's like, that would be, it'll be too much going into the same side of Star Wars that we've had in the Skywalker saga.
I mean, she could just be like another Mace Windu, purple lightsaber. Okay, she just as much of a jerk as Mace Windu was.
I was just going to say that. I think she is much worse in character as than Mace Windu, but she is trying to hide it. That's what the feeling is for me. She's trying to still make herself look relatable and pretend that she's caring about the opinions of other people and so on, because that's how she's like. She's not giving direct orders, right? She's always like, oh, are you sure, should we blah blah blah, like. But
So
I
she's not the head counsel.
that I don't know.
Because if she's not giving orders, she must be reporting to someone higher up then that we haven't been
But
introduced to yet.
I think she is not giving orders because that's what she wants to come across as.
She's
I've
the
got
boss
to
that wants to
agree.
be your friend.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, it's like, oh, what do you think we should do? I've already made my mind up, and we're
Yeah.
going with what I've said. But what's your thoughts on? Yeah, completely agree with that.
Yeah.
I just hope they don't do the Mace Windu thing with her, because Mace, or at least take this away from Mace Windu, because Mace Windu was the first one to use the dark side, because I think he created his own fighting style, because he uses the dark side and uses it in his fighting style, but doesn't actually embrace the dark side. And I hope that's not what the purple lightsaber indicates. So she just better just be very whatever she is right now. And
I mean, maybe in live action, her lightsaber actually will not be purple. But we see that in this show, there are more lightsaber colors than
Mhm.
we've seen before in this, like, at least in the beginning.
Even in Ahsoka, we saw the oranges style dark side saber, and so
Ooh, speaking of, when I was rewatching, I realized, I did not like the Jedi uniforms at all because they were like gold and pretentious and this and that. But what I realized
I
is
still like them.
they have this. Jedi should not have golden clothing. That's I
Natural the
find
Republic is all I gotta say.
that a bit ridiculous. Whatever.
It shows that they're pretentious,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
but that's why I like
They're
it.
high
because,
status.
Yeah,
How can they
we're
afford
in.
it?
The Jedi should be a high status. There's
Yeah,
only there's only like technically 10,000 of them out of billions and billions of people in a galaxy.
Okay, my point was that
Sorry.
the uniforms, no worries. The uniforms have these sash, right? And for the masters, they all look the same. They have this beige color that is on top and on the bottom of the leather part of the sash. But for Padawan, they're different colors and they are color coordinated to their lightsaber color. That was very interesting for me.
I
can
actually did not
honestly
notice
say,
that.
yeah, not picked up on that.
I made a little bow for the listeners. Okay. So we were with Torben and he offed himself with poison.
So this is another thought that I had, and you guys are so good at debunking every issue I've had so far. So I don't really see much of an issue as more of just kind of a question. So this is a Jedi temple, right? They got broken into. Why send Jedi from Coruscant to investigate? This is a temple full of Jedi. They should be capable to handle their own investigation.
I'm going to jump in very quickly and say I think you
I knew you
answered
would.
your own thing at the beginning
Okay.
When you said it's like a lower level of Jedi. So now they're
Yeah.
the elite.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Yeah. You quoted me to answer me. Love it.
They might also have had reports about someone looking like Asha and might be investigating because of that.
Just because of Master Endara and then Corbin's
Exactly.
being targeted.
Also that, like, they know which planet Torbin is on, and then that Jedi temple is targeted. So, related incidents, I would say.
Fair enough. And then my other question is, okay, so we got May, right? So she's going around killing these Jedi, and apparently she's supposed to not use any weapons. But she kills Endara with kunai. And then she even tells I forget the character's name. I just call him Jason because I don't know if you guys seen the show The Good Place.
Yes, Kimir. It's his
Come here,
name.
yeah.
Manny just.
Yeah, Manny. So really cool to see him in this, but she goes to him to get poison, and he even says, he's like, okay, well, you're not supposed to use a weapon. She's like, okay, well, this is gonna be our little secret. You know, it's not gonna bode well for both of us if you snitch on us. And so I'm just curious, why is she using weapons when she's not supposed to? Like, what if the master found out? Is that gonna be like, he gonna kill her for it, or what are your thoughts on that?
I've got a side question on that question.
Okay.
Has anybody read or looked into the fan theory that we've already met the master?
Huh.
I'm guessing Fluffy has.
It's
No.
Jord.
But in my no. Beefcake, if Beefcake is training, I am. In my notes, I say Kimir red herring.
Yeah. So
That is
that's
my
the fan theory at the moment, that Kimir is the master, because there's actions that he does where he's sort of too, like, he could have died but clearly managed to avoid any form of death and punishment, and he's too knowing, and
he's very comfortable with May, because when Osha comes in, he was fooled for a little bit, just for a few seconds. The more he talked, then he goes up to her and it's like, you look exactly like her. And he was like inspecting her.
Is this a Jar Jar Binks issue again? The first thought version of the Sith, and then we'll see what the fans think, and then lean towards there. Because I think it's not the master, but it's the apprentice. Like, Kimir is the apprentice.
I could go for either of those, whether he's a master or not, or just an apprentice, because he could just be there to spy on her. Because the Jedi come in after she's there, after she like pulls a gun on him, and he realizes that she's not May, and he gives up May. He's like, "Oh, May's gonna be here later tonight." We'll give up on her, and it's probably just, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll just leave you with a pardon." Which, very interesting, by the way. He supplies poison to kill a Jedi that it was used to kill a Jedi, but they're just gonna excuse him right away.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
a normal law system wouldn't do that, but
Palpatine
very
was
interesting.
hands-on with Anakin and his progress. So why wouldn't whoever our Sith is wouldn't be just as involved with May?
No, I agree, and that's why I think I'm just gonna call him Jason. Jason gave her up so easily is because it was another test.
Mm.
So he purposely gave her up, saying, "Oh yeah, she'll be back at this point," blah blah blah, because he wants to see how she would deal with more than just one Jedi. And
Why not?
I love that they sat there and they also quoted the Sith Code. I don't know if you guys caught a piece of that, because they're like, the pieces a lie. That's straight from the Sith Code, which originally was never in Star Wars. And I saw an interview recently with Sam Witwer where he was talking about that with Dave Filoni back when Maul was first reintroduced, back when he was like kind of delusional and kind of like the dark side was fueling his survival. And when Savage finds him, Maul is just rambling and saying a bunch of stuff, but Sam Witwer said while he was doing that, he threw in bits of the Sith code because it was never in canon before that. And so it's cool to see, because the Jedi always had a code, but the Sith didn't. And so it's cool to be able to see that the Sith code is kind of becoming a little bit more prominent in canon. Because I think this is the second time I've seen it referenced.
Speaking of Sam Witwer, he's credited as an additional voice in the first episode, at least. I didn't check.
Not surprised. Not surprised. Him and my cousin are usually in a lot of Star Wars projects, so I wouldn't be surprised. Because even in Mandalorian, he did a background character in season 2.
I was thinking maybe because they don't want us to know who the Sith is, so maybe they mixed a whole bunch of actors' voices together so that it's like that Lord of the Rings scene when Saruman's voice turns into Gandalf's. Like they might have chosen something in the middle like that. That's what I thought, at least.
That'd be very interesting. That would be very interesting. And then jumping back to Soul, I love his teaching style. He just seems so at ease and so controlled of his emotions that we got to see a little bit more of his character this episode, and he was a little bit more relaxed. Because when Yord confronted him, saying, "Okay, well, we got a prisoner here, we got to take her," and he's like, "Oh, you still think she did it?" He's like, "Well, yeah," and he's like, I love that he took that as a teaching moment. He's like, "Don't let your fear affect your judgment." And so we get to see some of his teaching style, which I thought was really cool, because I have a feeling, because he even says Osha hasn't been training for 6 years. And then he had a moment with Osha talking about, okay, he's like, well, because you left the order and the teacher or the council sent you away, maybe I failed you. And so I'm wondering if he's going to take this time to maybe kind of teach her a little bit. I wonder if she's going to kind of start having a character arc where she's going to start learning from Soul again and actually become more force sensitive, I'd say, or more attuned to the force. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Could be. I have, again, my theories about the whole May Osha thing. So, yeah, could be.
I really want to know like all your theories. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, I'm just saying right now, Osha just seems very useless other than just being bait.
I think she is the source of some power.
That's why I was saying, is like she comes off as a useless character right now and very nice and very clueless about everything. But she also seems a little defiant because she knows she's being used. And that's why I like Jecki, because Jecki is the first one to use her, and Jecki seems like she's the voice of reason. Because whenever the other Jedi are speaking, she's like the calm voice. Like when she's talking to the little girl, she's like she kind of gets down on her level eyesight and then just starts talking to her, and that's when she starts getting information out. Then you got Yord going on, okay, well, we got this chemist over here, and this is what we need to do. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, blah, blah, blah. And then Jackie's like, well, that's not a bad idea, but we got Osha who looks exactly like her. Let's just dress her up and send her in, and let's put a recording on her. Seems like the logical thing to do. Like, Jackie is becoming one of my favorite. I like her a lot. She's a really cool character.
I like that Yord has 2 lines from the original trilogy. I've got a bad.
I didn't catch it. Oh yeah, he did say I've got a bad feeling. Every Star Wars project it's not a Star Wars project if no character says it.
The thing is, though, nobody has said it as I've got a bad feeling about this for a while.
It has. I don't think it was said in Andor or Ahsoka.
Jace.
Jason Solo. Oh, yeah. That's right.
But he doesn't say it like that. He says like I have a bad feeling or something like that. But no one so far in the live action shows said it like I have a bad feeling about this.
I've got a bad feeling about this. Yeah. What was the other line that he said?
This is a trap.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
How did I caught the first one. I didn't write it down, but I did catch it.
I will not.
But
Anything Jedi Knight Beefcake says will go into records fully.
this is a trap. I saw it 3 times and that never stood out to me.
He says this is a trap, but
I know like this is probably like I know you said this is your least favorite of the episodes, but I feel like there's a lot more character development on everybody here. Because even Yord, I liked him a lot better this episode than the last one, because when they go into the Jedi Temple and they're all walking, Osha senses something in the Force. So we know that she is connected to the Force, at least to her sister. Anything involving her sister, she's more sensitive to. And so she goes off, and Yord notices and follows her. I was like, "Oh, Yord's gonna do something to her. He's gonna berate her. He's gonna capture her and accuse her. Blah blah blah." And then she comes in and finds dead Torben. And I don't know why the Jedi, that whole group didn't walk the way that she did initially, because she got there before them. You feel that the Jedi walking them in the temple would know the temple better than all of them, but they'd take the long route. So plot convenience. So Osha can get there first.
That makes no sense to me. I'm just saying that. You know.
And then she's sitting there smelling the container, and I guess she's probably very familiar with this. So I'm not going to argue with how she knew the smell. So I wonder how familiar she was with the poison to be able to smell it like that. So she must have used it a lot in her village or whatever, wherever she was. Could have been like a common tool for hunting or something.
The plant comes from their village, right? Maybe the poison smells very distinctly like that plant.
Oh, that's true. That's fair. So she may have not used the poison, but she's familiar with the plant smell. Okay, I'll accept that one. And then you got the Jedi that come in and they automatically accuse her, pulled the lightsaber and pointed at her. And it's like, she's like, he was dead when I got here. I didn't do it. And this is where I like Yord, because Yord walks in. He's like, nope, I've been following her. She didn't do it. I was like, okay, here we got some character redemption for this guy. He's not as much of a jerk as he portrayed himself off in the first episode. He's just very skeptical because of the situation. So he's actually not a terrible Jedi. He's just very skeptical. And
person.
And then I was just like, oh, thank you, Yord. And then she goes back into talking to them. And I just love how much confidence Soul has in her. Like, he doesn't, like, they walk in and first he's like, everybody calm down. And even though they see see Osha standing there, Soul is just like, nope. She didn't do it. Like, if she said she didn't do it, Soul would have believed her.
No, that's fine. We'll go with that. So, is it not the sort of master apprentice or padawan connection? Because we did have the same or something similar with Obi-Wan to Anakin. Obi-Wan didn't want to believe that Anakin had murdered a lot of younglings, and I had to throw that in there because that seems to be the second thing that I like to talk about in every episode.
So is that what you meant last episode when we were talking about Order 66 and you said wait till next episode?
Oh, no, that was just because I wanted to talk about it. But no, yeah, it basically was that. It had that sort of feel to it that the master doesn't want to go against the Padawan, which again is very much like the Obi-Wan Anakin connection.
I'll go with that, but Anakin and Obi-Wan were together a lot longer than Osha and Soul.
This is true, but at the same time, you know, we see it with like when Dooku's talking about Qui-Gon, there's still the love and the connection there. So I think maybe it's just a Jedi thing that you stick with your Padawan as much as possible, even if they're not, you know, a Padawan to you any longer.
Well, that I'll go with that. That's fair. And so they finally confront May, and this is what confuses me about May a lot. She had no problem going up to Indara, sitting at a table in a bar, saying, "Hey, give me everything you got. Let's do this." Then break into a Jedi temple and go, "All right, Torben, give me everything you got." Oh, you're not listening to me. Okay, let me run up walls and do all this crazy stuff and hurt myself trying to break through your force ability because you're a master and I'm not. But then she confronts Soul, and she attacks him first and doesn't even do her little stance or say, "Give me everything you got." And if she really wanted to kill him, she threw the kunai, but she threw it at the floor instead of at him, which confused me because he is on her list.
I'm going to throw this one out there that I still think as well that it was very much a Winter Soldier Captain America fight.
Yeah, they had history though, like actually like friendship history. I don't see that with May and Soul.
I mean, maybe not. Just sort of the choreography of it was very much a Winter Soldier Cap fight, just with the Force.
Are we sure that Soul is on the list? Isn't Vernestra the last one on the list, or am I?
No, because there are 4 Jedi stationed, and so far 2 of the Jedi stationed there are killed, and then 2 left are Soul and the Wookiee.
Okay, I thought
Because that's what Osha said.
Okay.
Osha said she's targeting 4 Jedi. You're on that list.
See, that's Osha's theory, though.
That is true. That is Osha's theory. That's why I'm very confused about May's intentions and what she's really trying to do. Like, I mean, there's still 6 more episodes, so I'm not gonna crush anything. I'm waiting for the story to unfold a little bit more, so I can kind of understand exactly what she's trying to do. But I did love this whole fight scene. I thought it was really cool, especially when Soul takes all her kunai out and she's like sitting there trying to reach for a saber, and he kind of just dashes out of the way. She misses it by a hair, and it kind of shows a skill that Soul is a little bit more skilled than most of the Jedi Masters that we've seen so far. And I'm sorry about Jedi Beefcake, but come on, bro. You're literally on a balcony above them. Why do you need to pull up binoculars to sit there and watch a fight when they're like literally 10 feet away from you?
Maybe he needs glasses.
Because then he's not using it later. Like my cousin and I were sitting there laughing at that. Like he's literally on a balcony right above them, and my cousin's like, "Dude, why does he need goggles?" He's like, "They're right there."
I mean,
Or maybe he's trying to record the fight.
Or maybe they're just not looking at the fight itself, but also doing a bit of a stakeout and like seeing if she's working alone, if there are other people. Let's just be a tiny bit more optimistic about
Jedi Beefcake.
Jedi Beefcake. Of course.
Wasn't it transmitting to the ship?
Oh, okay. I'll take that then too, because Jackie does show up with to the location. So maybe he's just marking the location with it. Kind of like when you play Call of Duty and you call in an airstrike, you pull out your goggles and then point the laser. But the whole fight scene is pretty cool. I don't know what you guys thought about it.
It was very Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Okay.
You think that? I think Marvel.
That's true, because you did the Captain America Winter Soldier.
Yeah. I don't know, especially that high kick scene was very Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon to me. It's
just really cool because every time she went in for a strike, he just sat there and just dodged. He didn't pull out his lightsaber. And then they got her cornered, and then Yord's the one that comes out and it's like, "Oh, lightsaber time. Like, he's so eager to pull out the lightsaber. Out of all the Jedi, he's the most eager, even if it's for no reason at all.
He is. I think he didn't want. Oh, yeah. You know what? I have, I think, explanation for that because Osha was the only one that was armed at that scene. I think that's why he also.
Well, Osha wasn't there. Soul made Osha stay back. Osha wanted to go because she thought she would have been helpful in the fight, and she probably would have been, because Soul's like, "Oh, your sister's alive." She's like, "No, she's dead." It's like, "You're lying to me." And then Yor's like, "No, he's telling the truth." Well, I'm not going to believe you either.
Okay, then maybe I'm misremembering or confusing it with another scene.
Because Soul, Osha is armed, and another thing that annoys me with the plot convenience is May escapes, does a little sand cloud, gets out of there. May hears about it. Osha hears about it, and then she decides to leave her where she's put. And then, okay. And then all of a sudden she runs into May. Like, so conveniently. It's like, you got this whole
Oshi?
city. Huh? Oh, yeah, Oshi. Like, you got this whole city. She leaves and happens to run into a spot where May gets hit by a car and then tries to steal it. And then proceeds to point the gun at her. Can easily take the shot, but misfires and hits something else. Then May drives off, and then Osha's like, "Oh yeah, maybe I should shoot her." And then it's just there.
No, I think it's
That
on
kind of bugged
purpose.
me.
I think it's on purpose that she is, because she got the confirmation that her sister lives, so she doesn't want their first actual interaction to be under those circumstances. So I think she allows her to escape.
But why would she shoot at the car after if she didn't intend?
So that other people think that she's actually trying to capture her.
No,
Okay, so she's just a terrible shot then. This is what everybody thinks.
No, I think she's firing on purpose.
No, I know, but I think everybody else is going to think she's just a terrible shot.
I think first shot was out of sheer what the insert many expletives here. My sister that I thought was dead for so many years is right in front of me.
I definitely saw the emotion there.
And then the other shots afterwards was because like reality kicked in, and the adrenaline of, oh, I've got this mission to do. I need to stop her. But by that point, May's getting away.
Yeah, and then Yord and Soul come around the corner and it's like, oh, well, all right, she's gone. And then she meets up with Jason again, and he's like, I didn't mean to give you up, but I can get you out of here. I got a cool place on this force planet that looks like Kashyyyk, but it's not. And very interesting, because it turned from night to day. So very, very interesting.
It is. I am actually looking forward to seeing the Wookiee Jedi, because it's not going to be like, this is not something that we see very often. And I think it's the first time we see in live action.
I'm going to say his costume, this Wookiee, he looked very costumey. And it is going to be very cool to see a live action Wookiee Jedi. I totally agree with you on that. Because this is the very first time that we see a Wookiee Jedi.
Yeah, that's
other than Clone Wars.
Yeah, exactly. Like live action Wookiee Jedi for the first time. So I really want to know like the lightsaber design, how they're gonna wield it. I am looking forward to it.
I am so down for an angry Wookiee that is, get off my land. I just want to be left alone type personality. I'm excited to see what he's gonna do.
I don't exactly remember where it was mentioned that a Wookiee can rip a person apart with their hands.
Oh, he ripped a gun apart, which was insane.
I mean, I think it was Wasn't it Han said it about Chewie?
I think so.
Let the Wookiee win. You've never seen a Wookiee rip their arms off when they lose or something like that.
See, I'd go for that.
Which is depressing because in The Force Awakens, there's a deleted scene where Chewbacca is actually at Maz's castle, and what's his face? The guy from the Sam, I can't even remember his name. The guy that was giving reactions at the beginning, he shows up to Maz's castle, and Chewbacca just goes in and rips his arms off. That was a deleted scene, and they didn't keep it in the movie. That's really sad. That would have been cool, but they thought it was too graphic. Simon Pegg, there you go. I love Simon Pegg. That guy's hilarious.
Yeah, it would have been really funny.
Mm-hmm. But it's really cool because he uses the Force in this to grab the gun and he just breaks it in half and then he's like, okay, get off my land, get out of here. I'm not going to kill you, but get out of here before I do. He's like, you just saw what I just did to this gun. You're next.
See, I'm really interested to see how a Wookiee as a Jedi would be, because we had the
Gunji.
Yeah, which
more like Padawan than a Jedi.
Yeah,
because this is a Jedi Master here.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see how his emotions are, you know, how the emotions play into the character, because we know with Chewie and other adult Wookiees that you say one wrong thing to them, you're losing an arm. So, and we've already seen this Jedi break a gun in half. Like, I'm interested to see what happens with him.
What I am interested in is the fighting style. I really like, because a costume like Chewie's is very limiting in your emotion and everything. So how they're going to handle that, and are we going to actually see a lightsaber battle? Because I mean, to be fair, May is using different methods to kill these masters. So maybe we don't even get to see the Wookiee pulling his lightsaber out, but it is definitely something I want to see in the coming episodes. A Wookiee wielding a lightsaber and not just like igniting it or anything, but like a proper fight sequence, hopefully against another lightsaber wielder.
Yeah, and speaking of Chewie, like if you jump into Legends, I think there's about 10 different Wookiees that are Jedi. And the one that comes to mind immediately is Lobaka, Chewbacca's brother. And so
we don't talk about that either.
I thought he was cool. I liked him. I didn't mind the Yuuzhan Vong War. It's cheesy at parts, but
I liked the story. I just don't like the fact that they took the great character that was Chewie, that we've stuck with through.
And killed him, yeah.
Yeah, and gave his brother the ability to be a Force wielder. I was like, no, just stick with Chewie. Have any other Wookiee be a Jedi. That's fine.
That's true. It would have been awkward if Chewie became a Jedi in the books, though. But that's off topic. But I do agree. I am pretty excited to see a live action Wookiee Jedi. I think that's like one of the highlights of the trailers. When I saw him, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so cool. I'm like, it's been done in the books and comics and even Clone Wars, but I'm like, to see it live action, because you don't see too many Wookiees being Jedi, even in the prequels, like they're not even mentioned. Like, it's very rare.
Yeah.
And then my other point was when Soul was talking to Vanestra, I was very curious because she's like, it's already bad enough that your Padawan went rogue, and now we're dealing with this. I don't think Osha went rogue. She became a mechanic for 6 years.
Yeah,
that's not really going rogue.
What they told us, that they kindly asked her not to continue her training, and she
didn't.
left. Like, how is this going rogue?
Yeah,
Or is
exactly.
there something behind that as well?
I mean, is Oshi? Because I'm going to use that now because I think that way is so adorable. Is that Oshi? Is Oshi kind of like the Acolyte's version of Gohan from Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z that has this like hidden potential, and it's going to
Don't ruin
come out
Gohan
when...
for me.
Hey, Gohan's awesome. Like Gohan's my favorite character.
Same.
You
Well,
know, but
Vegeta's mine, but Gohan second.
I can get behind that one definitely.
Vegeta.
Anyways,
100%.
Dragon Ball reference.
under that.
I think looking at it and how things are being worded by other characters about Oshi, that it is very much parallel to Gohan's arc in Dragon Ball Z. That there is this potential that will be unlocked when maybe Soul gets, pushed against the wall proverbially, and that's when this super force being comes out.
Kind of like with Kenobi in his own show.
Yeah,
He was so disconnected from the Force, but Leia's life was in danger, falling, that he immediately connected to the Force to save her. And like it's got to be like one of those things you got to be pushed up against the back. You got to have your back pushed up against the wall in order for it to be released. And so, because right now she does have a connection to the Force, at least a connection with May. And that's where I was going at earlier with like, okay, she's going to be around 3 Jedi traveling around the galaxy. She's probably going to pick something up, and maybe something happens to May, and that's what unlocks her ability. But I do feel like there is going to be a fight between her and May. I feel one's going to kill the other.
I think if there isn't a fight between them, then something's gone horribly wrong. It's almost predictable at this point.
Is it time for a theory?
It
Theory
will
time?
be. Yes.
2 words. Force dyad. What do we think? Because I think this is what it is completely building up to. This whole ordeal with Osha and May.
I'm okay with that, but at the same time, I'm not, because a Force dyad seems like it's supposed to be super, super rare. It's kind of like the whole Force Ghost thing. Like, only a few Jedi were able to accomplish it. Now it's just like, any Jedi can do it now.
Yeah. So my thoughts are that so I am 90% sure about Osha and May being a Force dyad, but I don't know where they will take the story with that. If there is anything to do with like Jedi realizing this potential, and then somehow choosing the twin that has a lighter side, like strong to them, and destroying the dark side twin? Or is this another plot of the Sith, because Darth Plagueis the Wise, immortality, Force dyad, Palpatine, immortality, Force dyad? So, or is that the direction that we are going in? These are the 2 thoughts I have, but I'm pretty sure we will at least hear the word dyad somewhere, sometime, with relation to these twins.
It's possible. I'm still on the theory that they're taking it from the Old Republic DLC of the twin brothers. One goes light, one goes dark, and they end up, one has to kill the other.
The video you sent me, right?
Mm-hmm. And oddly enough, it's the dark side brother that kills the light side guy, and that pushes him towards the light. because he didn't intend to kill his brother. But by killing his brother, it brought him back to the light side. Because he's like, oh no, what'd I do?
I mean, given how Disney are taking bits and pieces from sort of Legends material now and twisting them to be canon, i.e. like with Thrawn, I can kind of see that being a thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think any... That was weird.
Fluffy joins the light side.
This is
Yay!
insane. Like, we have an electrical problem and we don't understand why, but our lights go on and off because we have many of them.
Could be ghosts.
It's getting ridiculous.
You could be haunted.
Not now. Nah. Sorry.
But I totally see your side. It's so early. We can get into so many different theories on what's going to happen. That's why I'm like so curious to see where they're going to go with the story.
Yeah.
Because it's still so early that we don't know too much.
I am really looking forward to where the story will go in general, because I don't think they are going to retcon the fact that the Sith has not been seen for millennia or something. So how many of these characters will actually survive in the end, knowing the truth, the Sith exist, and so on. So that is one of the questions that I have.
That was my question before the whole thing started, when I knew that it was 100 years in the past, because I was thinking Coyote Mundi's quote, and I was like, how are they going to do this? And that could be a possibility. Very interesting. And since we're going to this forest planet, now that I'm thinking about it, this is where we see that lightsaber whip. It looked like it was a forest scene in the trailer. So I'm wondering if we're going to get maybe this next episode, I wonder if we're going to get our first interaction with this apprentice or master, which actually makes sense, because if Jason's there and he's the apprentice, he goes there with May. That could be his first introduction of like, oh yeah, I'm the apprentice, by the way. Let's go.
I am really looking forward to where they're going with that, because to me, also, Kimir then does not make a lot of sense. He is just
There
to provide the poison. That's it. And it could have been done in another way.
Well, no, I feel like it's there a little bit more, because he seems very involved with May. Like it seems like he was not. Think of it this way: like you have like your Jedi crew or like your Star Wars films, you always have like someone that's your mechanic or somebody that's on your ship that's kind of your navigator or pilot.
Mhm.
And I think he's kind of just put there to assist her. Like he's not her friend; he's probably just part of their group, and he's just sent there just to assist her in the killing.
I
And
understand.
so,
Yeah, I understand. But my doubt about that is that this requires such an insane amount of secrecy that I think it would be very uncommon for 3 of these people being on the same planet at the same time.
mhm.
That would be my approach to this. But I don't, again, like, yeah, I just think he is probably the apprentice.
I like that theory. I do like that theory. Like, I loved him in The Good Place, so it's weird seeing him not be so goofy here. I mean, he is a little bit, but not too. He's kind of more of the comic relief that I was waiting for the series.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what they do if they evolve his character into something else.
I hope so too. I mean, it is very easy for him to be typecasted in something like that because the character he plays in Good Place is really, really like it's
Dumb.
very easy to exactly like it's very easy to be typecasted into certain things like that. I hope it's really not like that and he gets to flourish.
Well, I mean, this is already different than his role in The Good Place because, like I said, in The Good Place, his character is kind of a little dumb, but in this one, he's actually a little bit more knowledgeable and a little bit more like I want to say more snake-like. Like he's really cool. Like really good character. Like I love all the character development that they did in this episode with everybody. I still have a little problem with Osha's acting, but I still like the character. Same thing with May. Like when she was fighting Torben, I found it a little cringe because like she goes in and punches, and then the way she looks at her hand and then steps back looked like it was a little bit more like I'm not gonna say it's her fault. I feel like she probably should have taken a few more takes, and that's probably on the director's fault because it looked really cheesy. Like watch that scene again, and you'll see what I'm talking about. For me, it looked very awkward. That whole scene looked awkward to me.
It goes back to sort of what I said in the last episode that at times the CGI was, you know, you could reach out and be there, and other times it looked like a 4-year-old had done it. And I think that fight scene was more of a 4-year-old type. I mean, I'm not saying that you know.
A lot of work went into it, obviously. So you're not like dissing. You're not dissing it. It just didn't feel right to us.
Yeah, it didn't land the way I think it was intended on.
And she didn't land well either. She ran off the wall and then just fell right on the floor too. So
yeah.
But overall, with like just these two the first two episodes, to me, like each ending of each episode just feels like a movie was cut into pieces because it doesn't really feel like an ending to an episode. It just feels like, okay, all right, now we're going to commercial break. Wait for the next episode or the next part. So good on them because like when I saw the scene with Indara in the theaters, it felt like a movie.
Yeah.
And even here, it just seems like a movie that was just cut into pieces. And so, like I said, 6 more episodes.
Yeah, I think I'd rather have that though than, you know, it's very similar to Andor in the way that the story was a linear progression. It wasn't here's an episode
Cliffhanger.
And yeah, it was just like, you know, you could watch them all in one hit and it would feel like a movie instead of here's an episode and then here's an episode with something else happening, and it feels right.
Because that's what I like, because each episode they conclude the current mission, but then on this episode they're like, okay, well, next we're going to this forest planet, and we get to see the Wookiee, and then does this little music. He goes into his door, shuts the door. Episode ends. I'm like, okay, nice little teaser for the next one. Not a cliffhanger, but showing us what to expect in the next one.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really well done. I'm excited for. I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually really excited for this forest fight because forest fight scenes always seem really cool to me.
Yeah, it adds an extra sort of level of detail to the surroundings. You know, we've had so many fights on starships that any other setting is good.
Yeah, like we got Scarif fight. I'd love to see a lightsaber battle there. Like, there's a lot of different areas that I like them to fight on. And that's one thing that I like about all these shows is because it's giving us different opportunities to see more of the galaxy, and that's why I'm so excited about the High Republic era. Like, I would love for them to jump more into that because we get to see a lot of different things that we're not used to because the Empire basically laid waste to a lot of stuff, so everything looks the same.
Yeah.
But I'm ready to have villains other than stormtroopers. I love the stormtroopers, don't get me wrong, but it'd be a nice jump to another thing. That's why I'm really excited for Taika Waititi's movie, or probably really butchered his name. But going back to the very first Jedi. Yeah, going back to the very first. Going back to the first Jedi, and it's kind of cool. Kind of reminds me of like Avatar, like in The Legend of Korra, where we go back to the first Avatar and see how he's kind of like figuring things out. And so we get to see the very first Jedi kind of figure out the Force and what to do with it. And it's like, oh, we can do this. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's now that you put it into perspective like that, I love it. It'd be so amazing. Those were one of the those
And
were
it better be Keanu Reeves.
whoa. Whoa. Just mind blown.
I know everybody wants him to be Revan, but no. I think Keanu Reeves would suit better as the first Jedi.
Yeah, but he's a bit old now.
Hey, have you seen John Wick? I haven't, but a lot of people love him.
What kind of wow, that was a rhetorical question. Yeah, no, I watch basically everything that man films. Yeah.
What about Cyberpunk? Do you play that game?
I did not play, but Kevin played until it was completely deemed useless to try to play it.
Yeah, a lot of glitches in the beginning.
Like 5 minutes into the game, then.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. He was so disappointed because he waited for years and then really bad. Yeah. There's this rom-com on Netflix called Always Be My Maybe. Have you guys watched it?
Okay.
No.
Never even heard of it.
Do you know the comedian Ali Wong?
No.
Oh, she's one of my favorites. So this is her movie, and Keanu Reeves plays a love interest for a few minutes. It's the most surreal thing. If you type "Always Be My Maybe" Keanu Reeves on YouTube, I'm sure you can find a segment. It's the character he plays. He plays himself. He plays Keanu Reeves, but such a version of himself it's unbelievably funny. Like his comedy is really, really good.
All right, so overall, really good episode. I'm really excited to see this Forest Planet in the next episode and kind of get to see this live action Wookiee Jedi Master. So next week we will be covering episode 3, and we will be doing a watch party. So jump on our Discord and we'll give you guys updates for that, so you can join us. And yeah, so before we go, just make sure that you jump down in the description below. Check out all our social media. We got our Discord, and we also have our Instagram where we post a lot of fun stuff. And then also check out our shops. We got entertainmentearth.com, where you can find a bunch of cool Black Series, a lot of Star Wars collectibles, and also our Teespring, where we got a lot of cool shirt designs. So we will catch you guys next week. May the Force
be with you.
Always.